Hi, this is me, anonymously. This is the first of its kind series where I share a portion of my life unedited. For me to be able to do this, I have to stay anonymous, and I will unfortunately have to keep the names of everyone involved in the story also anonymous. I decided to do this partly for myself so that I can tell my story finally, truthfully, and accurately. The other reason is I want to possibly and hopefully help someone who's in a similar situation. My story begins like so many other people's stories. I was young, I was drunk, I was partying my face off, I met a girl, we fell in love, we got married, and then it all, of course, fell apart. I'm hoping to show anyone listening that even though everything fell apart as badly as it did, that there is still a light at the end of the tunnel if you can get there. At this point, I still haven't gotten to the light at the end of my tunnel, but I think I can see it off in the distance. With that being said, hi, this is me, anonymously. So we're on the second night, Marla and I are hanging out. Once again, I get off work, I meet her downtown at the same bar, and we ended up deciding that we wanted it to just be the two of us for the night. So we have some drinks, we went and grabbed something to eat, and we literally talked and laughed and enjoyed each other's company. As the night started to wind down, I assumed I was taking her back to Blanche's friend's house, but we ended up getting a hotel room instead. I won't get into the graphic details or talk too much about what went on in that hotel room, but I will say we were awake for hours. We had just enough drinks to take the edge off and not enough to make it all sloppy and horrible. Turns out she came with a sprinkler system, and by the time we were done, we had to flip over the mattresses. We used all of the towels. The sheets and the blankets were all over the room. We woke up, tried to put the room back together the best we could, and I dropped her off and again went home, showered, and went to work. Now comes one of the craziest and worst nights I've probably ever had. I will be 100% honest. I do not remember a lot at this time in my life. Getting blacked out drunk was nothing new for me. For whatever reason, she was running late. I believe she ended up having dinner with some of Blanche's friends or something like that. I was already at the bar, completely and totally obliterated at this point. She shows up to find me standing on top of the bar. I don't know if I was completely naked or I still had a shirt on, but either way, I was standing on a bar, swinging my hips back and forth, making certain things bounce from thigh to thigh to thigh. Not sure who pulled me off the bar and got me dressed again, but not long after that, Marla was standing in front of the bar when a woman came running out and screamed, "Oh my God, you have to go to the bathroom. There's a guy gagging himself with a knife." Immediately, Marla knew that could only be one person and went running back to the bathroom and found me head in the toilet doing exactly what the woman had said I was doing. She took it from me and ended up sticking her fingers down my throat and getting me to throw up all of everything that was in my stomach. At the time, I still believed what my older sister had told me, which was, if you throw up, you can continue to drink. Every time I stood up from throwing up, my friends were standing behind me with rocks glasses that were full of Jack, Jim, and Jose all mixed together in a bottle of Budweiser. I would grab whatever was in front of me, drink it as fast as possible, and move on to doing something terrible. And then running back to the bathroom to do it all over again. Rumor has it, I was walking around the bar, knocking people's drinks out of their hands, just trying to get a reaction, because for some reason I felt like I needed to get into a fight that evening. Thankfully, no one really took the bait, and I ended up outside with one of the bouncers that had had enough of me, and even though we were good friends, he smacked my head off a tree and thought it was super funny. The police were getting sick of me too, so they were getting ready to arrest me, and lucky for me, Marla and everyone else talked them out of it because they promised they would get me out of here and take me home. Now, I do not encourage this type of behavior, but I was 22 and about as dumb as it gets. Marla walks me back to my truck where, for whatever reason, I swore no woman would ever drive my truck, no matter how drunk I was. So, the two of us drive my truck. What I mean by that is, I control the accelerator and the brake, and she, being as drunk as she was steering the truck all the way back to the place she was staying at. I don't remember getting there, and like I said, I don't remember much. The next morning, I woke up with now a hangover worse than the one that I had in October when I met Marla. And I literally wanted to crawl under my truck and die because I felt so bad. Marla and Blanche weren't very happy with me either, and I believed they were leaving later that day. I had assumed they were really mad at me for what I had done and how I had acted the night before, but when I get to my truck, there was a bag tied up on the steering column. I don't remember leaving it there the night before, and I had no idea what it was, so I untied it, opened it, and it was just the worst smell ever. It smelled like urine. I could not understand why or how a bag full of paper towels covered in urine ended up on my steering column. Turns out, Marla put me to bed the night before, and at some point in the evening, I woke up completely naked, walked over to a dresser, opened a drawer, and just started to go to the bathroom in the dresser. Marla wakes up, realizes what I'm doing, screams at me to stop, and while she's trying to get me to stop, Blanche comes running into the room to find me, like I said, naked, peeing in a dresser. I still had no idea what I was doing or where I was, and I just crawled right back into bed and went to sleep. So to my understanding, they ended up having to clean out the dresser, and all the paper towels and whatever else they used ended up in the bag on top of my steering column. While Marla was getting ready to catch her flight, she explained everything that had happened the night before, and oddly enough, wasn't mad at me for what I did. She said she'd been around enough drunk people and that I was pretty irritating, but she also found it a little bit funny. She got on her plane and headed with Blanche back to the West Coast.